now as we enter the second or third stage of the pandemic now, there is a rise with regards to children's wear. And I believe that this is something that Abercrombie and Fitch are also gearing towards too. What are your thoughts about that, especially now that it's a new pocket for you to explore?
Definitely. I mean, kids it's a sector of growth for our company, and that's for sure. And especially I would say in Asia, and then also specifically within Southeast Asia, just given the number of young consumers, whether that means like young parents emerging, and also for them, just the number of children that are being born, I would say here versus the rest of the world. For us, A&F Kids, I think is a really great sweet place for us, considering that the A&F adult brand has fantastic momentum right now. It has in the past as well. A&F Kids first started in '98 for us, again, just based off of the success of adult. From there, it's really evolved, and our motto is play is life, which that's something we take very, very seriously in everything that we do. And I like to think of us as being that perfect cross-section of fashion, but fashion with like a coolness and edge that I think is missing in a lot of kids brands today, but with comfort. And we're seeing some really great results out of Southeast Asia on some of the kids product that we have there because we're able to offer that balance. And I also think the special part about it too is like if you're an A&F fan, whether you're that cool aunt or uncle, or in my case, trying to be that cool mom, it's that perfect place for you to be able to find a kid-approved outfit, something that they feel really proud to wear, but at the same time, the parents.
Do you think that now that people are spending more time with their families indoors, that has somehow contributed to that rise of sales as well?
Absolutely. I think the part where we're very lucky is we're a trusted brand for our quality and also for the fashion and styles that we bring. And I think during pandemic, I think the last thing that people and parents want to think about is taking their kids out to buy new clothes. But the reality is that, I think for some parents, they were looking for more alternative, comfortable, but at the same time fashionable options for when kids were doing virtual homeschooling, or in a lot of cases, hosting virtual Zoom parties with their other friends. So being able to find that trusted brand online is great because they don't have to worry about the quality, they're familiar with it, and they're also familiar with the sizing as well. So that's definitely contributed a lot to our success online.
Right. It's interesting that you picked up on virtual activities online. Do you think that social media has somehow also contributed to the rise of sales? Even if you take in how certain children have now become influencers, especially, do you think that's also a driving factor as well?
Definitely. I mean, I think today the way people shop is so different, and it's even just evolved over the past couple months with the pandemic. Aside from just, I think what we think of as more traditional, and I never thought I would use the word traditional with online, but there is now traditional online sites. A lot of people are also shopping, social commerce is a rising trend as well. So a lot of people are shopping through their social channels. So I definitely think that, when we look at kids wear influencers globally, or specific to Southeast Asia and Asia, they are a big contributor to a brand's presence in kids wear, especially, and how people want to purchase. I mean, there's no better way as an adult or a parent who's maybe following this kid influencer. It's just more fun, everything through a kid's eyes, a child's eyes. So I not only, like speaking from personal experience, I not only have bought things for my kids watching these influencers, but also even for myself, seeing their parents, which is very, very interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting as well. Also looking through the report, what we've come across is that the color blue actually came out on top among consumers who intend to purchase children's clothing. Do you think this has something to do with, being calm when being indoors, or some sort of sociological color therapy trend that's trickling into kids wear that's unconscious at this moment?
I think there's two dynamics happening here. I think the first is exactly what you said. I think as a parent or an adult who's probably purchasing, the primary purchase maker in this. They're definitely responding to probably some level of like color therapy, because levels of blue are definitely calming, they're restorative, at the same time very optimistic. So we definitely, even in our own results, have seen blue just do phenomenally well and even better during this time frame, and different shades of it. On the kids side, I think kids respond to it. It's optimistic too as well, but I think it's linked to, if you think about the world they live in, it's very digital, it's very virtual, gaming. There's levels of blue that cut across the way that they spend their day on virtual, social and games. And I think that they're also responding to that.
When we are now coming out of the pandemic, borders are now being dropped. Do you see a certain rise in specific trends, especially now that domestic travel is allowed again?
Absolutely. So, I can speak to, because in ANF Co for APAC, we also have China within our region as well. And China's been a little bit ahead of the curve on the pandemic. The moment things started to open up, immediately we're sort of seeing two sort of like dynamics happening on opposite ends of the spectrum. One is loungewear comfort, still here to stay, very, very important. And then the second one being people really kind of jumping back for opportunities to buy outfits, for their kids and even for themselves, for that moment that they can finally go out and have brunch with friends or hang out somewhere.
Are there any different trends that have caught your attention that has set Southeast Asian consumers apart from China or anywhere else within the world, something that's very much Southeast Asian on its own?
Absolutely. I think in Southeast Asia, the comfort also stays as well. I think the digital aspect of things, of just people really just continuing to purchase online, has also continued. I think part of that is that people are still getting used to normal again and, getting the confidence to go back outside. I think the second part of that is being through the pandemic and being on lockdown. People maybe who have not traditionally always shopped online have realized that online is actually very efficient and also at the same time very convenient. So that behavior has stuck.
The non-urban consumer is on the rise right now. And what has been your biggest takeaway from this entire situation as well?
I think it's, I think yes, there's a lot of people probably, when you say non-urban, like outside of a city, that also, utilize online. As online has become easier, it's easier to touch people who maybe don't live in a city or nearby a store. So I think that's a definite continued trend. But I do think that even the urban consumer is now, the wall between your offline location and online has essentially been erased in many ways. So they're now shopping in both places interchangeably. So, we see, and in the future, we think that there will be more and more of this showroom effect where I might go into the store and take a look at it, once I feel more comfortable to do that, but I'll probably finish that purchase online or digitally, or maybe I'll go online and then go into the store. So essentially it'll be very seamless between both online and offline.
Right.
For the urban.
Would ANF consider new technologies with regards to that? Say, for example, augmented reality, and that's something that's been popping up as of late, especially within the fashion realm. You see a lot of runway shows adopting that sort of technology as well when it comes to runway shows. You think that's something that's to implement in the future?
Definitely. I think, we're a company that we're always moving forward. We're always looking to the future. We're a very young culture. It's definitely not without question that we will continue to look at new technologies and also ways to continue to, effectively connect with our consumer.
How do you think the word cool is now being described in this post-pandemic age? Because now everything's been thrown out the window.
I think cool for me is really just being of the moment. And that's why, in the example that you mentioned earlier, I think in the past, ANF would have been associated with a certain kind of carefree, effortless kind of cool that was about getting outside, maybe, a sort of like city living. I think now I do think that the definition of cool will continue to change with whatever is current. And for us, what we continue to see perform very well for us, and this was actually even before the pandemic started, and we're just very lucky that we happen to be on this trend, is it's that idea of, it's still fashionable from a silhouette, color, fabrication perspective, but it has all the functionality of, your favorite yoga pants, or for a guy, I think especially in Southeast Asia, super important, sweat kind of like free moisture wicking material. So being able to give our customer that, and that, they get still get that lifestyle and the look that they want, looking very polished, but at the same time with that activewear functionality, to us is cool.
Right. So activewear and lifestyle, those two elements are something that we're going to be moving forward in the post-pandemic age. People are going to be getting healthier and fitter.
Exactly. I think it's top of mind, health, and just, being able to be active. It's something that we were already on a trend with a lot of our product, again, just even before pandemic. I think, for us, we're not a sportswear brand, so it's not like necessarily athleisure for us. We like to think of ourselves as more like fashion leading with leisure behind. So it's like all the fashion aspects of the way that you look. But again, the materials, the way that it works is just like as if you had your athletic apparel items.
Yeah. Speaking of as well, there's this new term called Zoom chic. Is exactly what we're doing right now. We're on a webcam, and everything else that is in focus is basically torso up, and everything down is basically denim jeans, loungewear, or something like that. How, in terms of A&F, how would you also not style it, but how would the A&F consumer go ahead with this Zoom chic trend, balancing out business wear and also, the party on top and serious at the bottom, that kind of thing?
Definitely. I think again, we're very lucky because, I'll give you an example today, and something that we have in the store, whether it's our adult or our kids wear product. We have a ton of amazing pants, across both age groups, both genders, but they're extremely comfortable. Like, if I talk about our adult brand, we've got something called the Traveler Pant. It's actually a jogger style, so you could definitely wear it to a business meeting if you wanted to. It looks like it's almost like a chino material, but when you feel the fabric and you wear it, it is probably the most comfortable pair of pants that our male consumer has ever owned. In kids, we also have very similar equivalents in boys and also even in girls. So I think we're very lucky in the sense that they can still feel like, it's, they're sort of kind of more dressier on the top, but then casual on the bottom.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the moment, if they need to show a full screen version of themselves, like head to toe, they still look like they're ready to go somewhere.
Right. Just to go back into Southeast Asia once again, we are also a very diverse region with so many different cultures, heritages, and religion. How does A&F balance all of that out so that every single trend is also made appealing to different subsets of, races and religion and all that?
Definitely. So I think one thing for us that's new is we've invested a lot of time on putting teams on the ground here in APAC. So the office I'm actually sitting in today is new. It's just a few months old because we see the huge potential of, places like Southeast Asia to want to invest to get closer to the consumer, whether it comes to the products that we make or even the marketing that we do. We've already started to do some things like first, very, very simple and basic, but making sure that we have warm climate opportunities there. The company is based in, closer to the East Coast in the United States. There's a lot of items that may lend itself to the East Coast, but here, in Southeast Asia, the weather is, it's pretty much the same all year round. It's mostly just warm, right? I think the second is we are also talking a lot about occasions. So because of all the different cultures, the different, religions and just the different languages, there's just a huge amount of opportunity for us to really have fun and just play with our product and how that fits into all the different holidays and occasions that are sitting within Southeast Asia. So that is something too that we're starting to look at. I mean, the first step was, of course, knowing that there's a large Chinese population in Southeast Asia, is to make sure that we are speaking more appropriately for, for Lunar New Year as like first example. And then I think in the future, we definitely want to think about, moments like Deepavali as another example.
Modest wear is also such huge pocket of growth right there. You have so many Muslim communities throughout, not just in Malaysia, but also in Indonesia as well. And that's a very different, I think, category when it comes to clothes. You have the hijabs, you have something that's a little bit more modest, and that's a huge market right there. I'm pretty sure a lot of the other designers, international designers, have also begun tapping into. This is something that ANF would also be going into as well.
I definitely think that that's an opportunity, just thinking about the Muslim community. I think first thing for us would be, and something that we've talked about is like longer short lengths as an example for the male consumer, whether they're in kids wear or they're in adult, is just like an easy first opportunity for us. And then even just the way that we look at female dresses as well, just being able to have more cover up opportunities. And then I'm sure that, because we're at the beginning of this journey right now, the regional team that we have here has just been set up over the past year. We're going to continue to look for many of the opportunities, like some of the ones that you mentioned. We definitely see it as untapped potential.
Great. Do you think now that we are very much going into a digital realm and we're more or less kind of putting brick and mortar stores behind, you think this is something that ANF would be focusing on in the coming years, or would brick and mortar stores still be something that's relatable in the future?
I think both are very important. I think brick and mortar is very important to us. I think what it really comes down to more is ensuring that the digital space has a role and also brick and mortar, and that both of their roles are in relationship with each other. I definitely feel that the future is going to be very interesting in terms of what that relationship looks like. But I imagine that, again, people will discover things as they shop and browse in a store and maybe finish their purchases online, or perhaps find us online and, be in a store to kind of like touch and feel a product, but then still finish their purchase online. So I think both are going to find ways to play together in a very, very interesting, in a very, very interesting space in the future.
Great. Now to cap it all off, what has been the biggest takeaway over the past several months when we've been in this pandemic and coming out of it?
I think the first, especially in Southeast Asia, as we think about digital, especially on the kids wear side, what I mentioned earlier around just the convenience and being a trusted brand. And I think a lot of parents just finding convenience and sort of like that being able to stay in a busy mom or busy dad's life. I think that digital behavior is definitely here to stay and is going to challenge us to think about, again, just how brick and mortar plus online play together or what their roles are. I think the second one is really around comfort, and this transcends everything. It's beyond pajamas. It's beyond sweatpants. It must be in everything that we do when it comes to apparel. Luckily for us, for ANF, comfort has always been at the center of everything that we do. So we've been very lucky that anything that you buy from us is essentially very soft, and very, very comfortable, whether it's a fashion, dress item, kids jeans, or a very basic t-shirt. And I think brands will have to continue to challenge themselves to also think that way.
What are the micro trends of children wear today?
Sure. So, when we think about micro trends for children's wear, I think a lot of them definitely informed by some of the bigger global challenges that I think our kids are facing today. If I had to kind of pinpoint a few, the first is, again, this blend of virtual and physical, just because kids today they're so digitally native, and that's the world that they live in. So bringing the elements of, gaming, social, virtual worlds onto graphic design has been something that we continue to see more and more of, and also already seeing work very well for us. So think like retro gaming graphics, 3D effects like lenticular on t-shirts. In addition to that, technical finishes, also something too that we see very, very prominent. And then, just because they're all very much so about gaming, a lot of collaboration with gaming IP as well as content. And then not just, I think, physical trends on apparel items for kids wear, but also taking those items into a virtual space. So a lot of people buying things virtually on gaming apps for their kids and owning things on those apps. In addition to that, I think also, nature, seeing a lot of outdoor technical sort of details on kids wear, kindness and human power, a lot of sort of positive messaging on kids product, and even just products that give back to the community when you buy them. Mini-me and matching, I think I don't even need to describe that one. Southeast Asia is definitely at the head of the curve on mini-me matching, and also just mini-me, it's a great way to bond with your child when you're matching with them or they're wearing an outfit that you personally also probably would have worn or really like. Right. Last but not least, I think safety is also huge. So, trusted brands are the ones that have done well through the pandemic, and also probably the ones that consumers went to online immediately when they went into lockdown.
Right. There's something else I want to touch on is what you said just now about being holistically in tune, something that's very, positive, that whole entire positive mindset, especially now that we've gone into lockdown, coming out of it, we're coming out with a completely new perspective. We're a little bit more in tune with ourselves. How do you think this positivity will pan out in terms of fashion for ANF, and not just on a holistic level, but in terms of being eco-friendly and being sustainably focused? How does that pan out for ANF?
For sure. I think coming out of lockdown, a lot of people have reprioritized what's important. I know a lot of us feel like the little things that we hadn't really noticed before, we now have a newfound appreciation for, like just taking a walk outside with your family members or having dinner with friends. I think coming out of lockdown, with the pandemic, people are becoming more and more values focused. So things that really speak to them, that have purpose, will drive a lot of purchase making decisions in the future, and also the way that we make decisions about how we consume.